Mistakes that I've made that I most regret. So probably made a lot of mistakes. There's always learning opportunities in that. I think one phrase that I read recently that a different entrepreneur uses is accelerating the inevitable. And when I think about mistakes that bother me the most, it's when I didn't accelerate the inevitable, or I didn't have my organization accelerate the inevitable. And that is typically, I think something's gonna get better. I know it's not right, but I think it's gonna get better. I put it off, put decisions off. It just almost always comes back to bite me. And then I look at it and say, why didn't I address this a year ago when I knew that it was gonna, most likely be an issue, and now I have to address it now, and I'm a year behind. So a lot of the mistakes that I've made have probably been taking a more incremental approach rather than accelerating the inevitable. I think a second thing other than that comes to mind is being fearful. Whenever decisions are being made or delayed out of fear, it's just a bad thing, and those are really opportunities. Reminding oneself to be bold and to keep being aggressive is the best way to be.
I won't give you the names because my biggest mistakes are all bad hires that I made of executives that work directly for me. There's a theme, and I'd say the theme is I got enamored with their resumes and their pedigree and how they looked on paper, even where they had worked, and didn't focus as much as I should have on, are they a culture fit? Do they really fit the culture of our company?
Complacency is one of those. Thinking that something's good enough when in fact it isn't. I think the next mistake is feeling that someone who has been with you since the beginning, trying to find a place for them that is potentially a square peg in a round hole. I've done that a number of times in my career, and it's not fair to the organization and the other people that work there, and it's not fair to the person. And so you have to resist that to some extent.
I regret times that I was too slow to react to something I knew to be a fact, whether it was a piece of business that we shouldn't have gone after, or a piece of business that we shouldn't have taken on, or an employee we didn't think was going to work out and in fact ended up not working out. It's just not trusting my instinct, maybe as it related to those situations, is probably the one thing I regret most.
I'd say one entrepreneurial tip I would say of regrets that I have is sometimes not to seek out a mentor or seek out somebody who's been there and done that before. If you don't need to have outside investors to go out and seek a mentor or seek outside counsel in leadership positions to help you think through it using a sounding board. I've been too proud at times to say, I've got the answer, I don't want to ask that, I'll look like I don't know the answer. And of course, every time I've done that, it's been a bad decision. So I would encourage entrepreneurs to look outside early and often.
A mentor to myself and to my business partner told us one time, hire slowly, fire quickly. It just seems that a lot of my mistakes that I've made in my entrepreneur career have somehow violated that single tenet. Having a need, for example, for a position and settling for the good enough as opposed to really holding out for the right person. And then conversely, if something's not working out, not moving on quicker. I mean, I say fire quickly, and I don't mean to sound harsh by that, but if something's not working out, just because of the pace of where you're at as a startup, you have to figure out if it's going to work. If it's not, you need to separate as quickly as possible. I'd say the second category of mistakes that I've made is, and this is me personally, is sometimes not thinking big enough. The pace of change that's going on, especially out in the digital world today where I am, is so rapid. I think there have been some times in my business when we didn't think big enough or try to expand quickly enough when the opportunity was there.
Well, over the years, I actually started a company that we really thought we had the right plan, the right strategy, and it became clear early on that there was somebody out there who was going to outgun us. We weren't going to get off the ground. So that was a tough one because we had to take a great idea and realize somebody was not only out there with it, but out there ahead of us. I think another mistake that I made over the years is there's always a critical time where you may have hired someone, you really thought they were going to be terrific for the firm. you were so sold on it in the beginning that you maybe didn't pull up on it soon enough when it was time to make the change. And so I think there's been an instance there where I should have moved faster. And I think that the third thing might be that when it comes to being an entrepreneur and you're out there raising venture capital, you really have to think through how far that money's going to take you. And I had an opportunity once to raise more money than I did and opted not to do that. And then we fell on some hard times, and so I had to go back and get another round at a less favorable valuation. So I would have been a lot better off if I would have taken more money when everything was red hot in the market.